All right, so we've got the X5 over into the paint shop, and this is the one that we have been filming through the repairs in the shop. I had shown it to you guys in a couple of the other videos, but this is gonna be the full breakdown of this job, and now it's finally over here in the paint shop. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one prepped out with you guys, and I'll show you some of the clips of the body man doing this thing before we got it over here. That way you guys can see the full build on this one. We'll paint it and we'll give it back to him. We'll have him fully assemble it, and you guys will see how we do it over here at Mitchell Collision. All right, so you guys may be wondering why we had to get so far into this vehicle. Well, this is a ultra high strength steel part. And when we got the vehicle in, we noticed that it was hit in the center pillar there, and we wanted to make sure that the inner wasn't damaged. So we cut a window, and once we did that, we noticed that it was damaged. So this being ultra high strength steel, you cannot repair that. So we had to have it replaced. And you guys see here now, we have it treated with our E-coat. Everything is addressed on the inner structure. We have our weld-through primer on. That way, once we put the outer panel on, it's treated for corrosion protection. So this being an ultra high strength steel part, there's no repair work at all being done to these. If it's damaged, it has to be fully replaced, and that's what we did here. Now you see the outer panel being held on with those special clips that hold it on to the inner. And then down at the bottom, we have our vice grips holding it on just to mock it up. That way we can see where we're at. And after this, you'll see he puts his doors back on the vehicle. That way he can check his gaps before anything is welded. Here you guys see we're using the resistance welder, and that is a very nice tool to have. That way you can duplicate the factory spot welds. We don't use MIG welding on these areas. We do MIG weld the area above where the seam is, but on the actual pinch weld area, we use the spot welder. That way it has the nice OE look. So he's getting that thing welded in there nicely. I'll show you guys that in a minute once the welds are done. And look how nice of a weld that is. And that came out really nice and clean. So I was really happy when I seen how nice the weld came out. So what we're gonna do here is have this ground down, and I'll show you that right here. This is him after he ground down the welds. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna hit it with our epoxy. So I like to put down the epoxy before the Bondo and the fillers. So we primed it with the epoxy. And now he's gonna go ahead and do his repair work over the epoxy. That way it's treated under the filler. So I like to have something under the filler. And I'm gonna zoom in here and you guys are gonna see what I mean about the filler being over the top of the epoxy. So right here, once we get up close, you'll see that, you see that black edge? That's the epoxy, and then the Bondo and the fillers are over the top of that. So there's treated metal underneath the Bondo, and then where that is bare, again, it will be treated again with another coat of epoxy, and then the 2K. So everything is sealed up tight, and there will be no corrosion problems with this one. And you guys will see that now that we'll have it in the 2K primer, and then we'll be back over by me getting this thing ready. All right, so you guys can see that the body man did a really nice job on this one, getting it welded up, doing the filler work, and now we're in the stage of the prep. So the first thing I did was cover up the areas with the plastic. That way we do not get any dust on the inside. So not only did we do that, but we cleaned the whole area that we're gonna be painting, and now we're gonna go ahead and address the area that is in the 2K urethane. This is what you wanna go ahead and use a block on. That way you can get this as straight as possible, as well as the seams at the bottom. We're gonna go ahead and block those. All right, now that we got it blocked, we're gonna go ahead and refine the scratch from the block with a 400 DA, and then we're gonna hit the surrounding area as well with a 600 DA. All right, so we've got the vehicle now sanded. We're gonna go ahead and prep out the fender and the 2 doors that are going on this one, and then we'll get everything in the booth and I'll show you guys that once it's in there. All right, so now we've got the vehicle in the booth and you guys see that we use the same plastic when we got it in here. That's the nice thing about using the plastic instead of the paper, because once I go ahead and clean this, I could wipe down this and I don't have to remask the holes that I put already covered up. So that's one tip to you guys. Use the plastic, you won't have the lint, you'll get a cleaner job. And if you prep it outside and you cover your holes, you can still use that same plastic and you won't have any problem because you're able to clean it. So if you guys see here, we're going all the way to the factory seam. We do not want to have any blends, and we want to spray this whole uniside all at one time. That we get a nice clean job. So we're gonna go ahead now and mask this one up. That way we can get into shooting this one. All right, so we've got it fully outlined now. We ran the tape all around the existing area that we're gonna be masking off. That way we can pull our bag over the top of this thing and get it completely sealed up nice and tight with the plastic. So that's the next step in this here process, is getting it bagged up. That way we do not get any overspray on the rest of the vehicle. All right, so we ran around it with a razor blade. That way we can cut out the middle, and then we're able to tape that up. We'll just seal it back up and we'll run around it one more time on the outside to get this thing all sealed up tight. That way we don't have any overspray. So the better you seal it up, the better your paint job is gonna look, because you're not gonna have any leaks and you're not gonna have any chance of dirt blowing out of the vehicle. You're gonna have to deal with just the elements, what comes off of you, and also what's in the air. But you'll alleviate a lot less dirt because you have this sealed up nice and tight, and you have less chance of dirt blowing out of any of the cracks or crevices. So we're gonna go ahead and seal up around the edge, and then we'll start cleaning this one. All right, now that we've got it all sealed up tight, we're gonna go ahead and clean that. And the first thing we're gonna be using on this one is gonna be the wax and grease remover, which is gonna take away any silicones or any grease or oil. And I like to start out with that first. So we've just got it in a pump bottle here. This is a PPG product, but every company has it. And we're gonna go ahead and wipe down our areas to be painted. That way we do not have any chance of contamination on the surface, because working through these jobs, sometimes the body men will have stuff on their hands as well as myself. And you just wanna make sure you get it as clean as possible. That way you don't have any reaction. So I like to use the wax and grease first, and then I use the waterborne, because to me it cuts down on the static and you have less chance of static with lint sticking to the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one wiped down, and then we'll be moving into the paint process on this one. Same thing on these. We'll wipe these down with the wax and grease in case anything got on them in transit or in the shop. And I like to use the microfibers. I've had the best luck with these. You really get a nice clean panel as well as less lint, and it just gives it a nicer, cleaner job. So try them out. I think you guys will be happy with them. Now we'll go ahead and use our waterborne cleaner. New microfiber on this part. That way you don't have any chance of having any of the silicones, waxes, or anything, or the oils from that towel once you step into this stage of the waterborne, because it will not take it off and you do not want to contaminate it. So we'll finish wiping the whole job now with the waterborne, and we'll get into the paint process. So now after you clean it, the final step that I do is I hit them with a blowgun lightly with my hand. That way I can feel any loose dirt that's on the vehicle, get it knocked off. And then I will come over it one last time with the tack rag. And these are the crystal tack rags. These are my favorite ones. And these are not the old school style. These are the newer style. And what I like about these is they're not as sticky. So when you're doing a blend or even wanting to tack over your job maybe before clear, because sometimes I will tack them before clear, not all the time, but you can actually rub this over the top of your base and it will not leave any residual from the actual glue. So these are my favorite right now. They made a new and improved version and they have a lot less lint in them and a lot better area to tack because you do not have any problems with them sticking to the paint. So we're gonna go ahead now and blow and tack this one last time, and then we're gonna be sealing it. All right, so you guys see here we use the PPG paint line. That is a recommended paint system for BMW. So we are a certified shop, and in order to be certified, they want you to use one of the top tier paint lines. So there's not only just the body man has to worry about what he's doing as far as welds, repairs, and how things are done in the shop, but we have to know what we're doing to these vehicles. That way we are also certified here in the paint shop. So there's different things they want you to do. They want you to have a nice premium spray booth, good lighting, a mixing room, some different tools around the shop like infrared lights, and you have to have ongoing training. That way you're up on all the ways that they want these cars repaired. That way it's a certified repair. So we're gonna go ahead and hit this one now with our ECS sealer and get this thing all sealed up. All right, so that sealer is a top of the line sealer, and what it's made for is to give good adhesion, especially to those E-coated parts. So that is a chromatic sealer, which means you don't have to sand down the new parts that have the factory E-coat on them. It'll stick to that with a guaranteed from PPG that you don't have to sand it. But we do sand it just in case to give it a better bite. And that is also really good for holdout. So if you have any sand scratches, that's going to fill in some of that. It's almost like a primer that's a little bit thinner, and it just makes it nice and uniform, so that way when you apply your base coat, you have a nice surface to put it down on. So we're going to go ahead and let that set up, and we'll be moving into the base coat. All right, so that's the base coat. We put 2 wet coats of base, then we come in and we put a control coat, which is gonna level out all the metallics and give you a nice metallic orientation coat, which makes everything look nice and uniform. So we'll let that dry, we'll go ahead and clear it, we'll get it out of here, we'll bring it over to the body man, he'll assemble the car, and we'll show you guys this job all finished up. So this here is the cavity wax. He's gonna go ahead and hit the areas that we did the welding on. That way the inner structure is treated as well as the outside. So this wand will go in here, he'll treat that. You guys will see it in a minute, fogging out everything and treating the inside. And then you're gonna see him putting the doors on, checking his gaps and doing his thing and going as far as he can with this one, because we were waiting on a couple pieces, but you guys will be able to see the whole side of this thing with the color and all the panels lined up nice. And you can see the seam area that we did and check out how nice it came out. All right, so I hope you guys liked the video on the X5 repair. We tried to take that one from the beginning all the way through to the end. We are waiting on a couple pieces that are on back order, so we weren't able to get it fully done, but we got it built enough for you guys to see the whole side of that thing looking nice and clean. The bodywork, the color, and everything came out really nice. So give this one a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys on the next one.